Welcome to Charles Dickens' A Brain on Fire, a series that digs deep into the life and works of one of the greatest novelists of all time. This episode touches on the theme of domestic violence, so if this is something that you don't want to listen to, please do skip to the next episode, which is all about A Christmas Carol. Hi everyone, Christmas is nearly here now, and there is a special bumper episode on A Christmas Carol on its way to you in a couple of hours. But I just wanted to share an extra fragment from my interview with Dr. Lydia Craig on The Haunted Man, which I couldn't fit into the last episode. It is a moment in the story where Redlaw, now under the spell of the ghost's curse, comes across a woman sitting on the stairs, either asleep or forlorn, and whose head is bent down on her hands and knees. Redlaw sees that her arms are black, her face cut, and her bosom bruised. It's a deeply powerful, shocking moment in the story that reveals Dickens's compassion not only for the poor, but for women on the receiving end of violence and abuse at the hands of husbands, partners, fathers, or sons. Given that there is a spike in this cruel and vicious behaviour over the holiday season each year, it makes this moment in Dickens's final Christmas book a clarion call for our society today. Something we didn't mention is the young woman who's beaten by a man, her partner, or something that we don't see the guy, but when Redlaw's doing his kind of progress to try and solve everything and he comes across her, that's incredibly dark. And describing where the bruises are on her body, and she says, "Oh, I did it to myself." And he says to her, "No, that's not possible." You know, that is feels very prescient, and it feels...
Well, Dickens was very fascinated, I think, by women in need, because I think he recognized that they were a very vulnerable population, as were children. And that was another one of his focuses. He had a very keen ability to sort of pinpoint where society was failing in different directions. And for women, you know, we see his work at Urania Cottage, trying to help them in life. And in many cases, he would have met women who had been beaten, who had been abused. He would hear the entire stories these women told before they were allowed to join. And, you know, just walking around London before Urania Cottage, he would have met people with bruises, women who had been abused or beaten. You know, this was part of the scenery at the time. Except I think instead of just looking away, he wants to write about it. He wants people to recognize that this does happen. He also had just written about a woman being hit in Dombey and Son, which had finished serialization before this point. And there's a scene in it where Florence is hit by her father across the face, which makes her leave the home. She's upper middle class, but it can still happen to her. She can be physically struck in this way, and that makes her sort of a fugitive from her own family home. So I think he was interested in that kind of crisis that is represented by a man hitting a woman in this way, where she has a choice. You can leave or you can make the excuse, but you can't just say, "Oh yes, he hit me." That's not socially the thing you do at this point. But I think it's something that he's still thinking of and kind of working over in his mind, how to respond to a situation like this as a man trying to help a woman who's been abused by someone else.
Yeah. Lydia, thank you so much. It's been so great to meet you and talk to you about this one. It's such a great, I recommend it. I absolutely recommend it to anyone that's not read it. So thank you again. It's been brilliant. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for asking me.
Thank you for listening to Charles Dickens' A Brain on Fire this Christmas. If you're enjoying these episodes and would like to make a small donation to cover the costs of producing them, please go to the description wherever you're listening to this and you can buy a coffee. Every one of those that is bought makes a huge difference. Thank you so much, and see you in the new year.